announcing the first semifinal for North America. What are you expecting in the band phase, TJ?
I want to keep an eye especially on the Tulin. We know that both IMT and Dino Riders really, really like to draft him.
But you can see Immortal's going to start things off with that Alice ban directly onto Medic. Won't allow him to have that pick to go aggressive.
They learned very quickly from that Allegiance game. Alice on the table is not something that either one of these want available.
And this gets kind of more interesting because Medic, the only other character they play very, very well is Arduin, a very out-of-meta tank. This ban, though, is also a target ban, the Flash being removed.
But speaking of target bans, the Tolan comes out here, and that is for both of these mage players. Both of them enjoy playing this. For Dave, I believe he has 8 games. The next one down the list as far as the pool goes for characters, he only has 2 games. So this is actually one taking away from themselves as well as their opponents.
Dave may be in trouble here because 2 of his best characters are Tulin and Flash. He basically has to play Liliana from my understanding of his character pool.
And with that, she just received some nerfs, so might not be the optimal pick that you wanted to go for. For Dino Riders, you have the obligatory Superman ban coming out.
And you know, you talked about Dave and you talked about hero pools and everything, but you have to think about the emotional state of the game. Yes, there is a lot of understanding that you have to have mechanically, but playing on stage, playing in front of a live crowd outside of the comfort of your home is something you have to consider. We were talking to him backstage and he walked up to me and he goes, how are you not able to, or how do you handle nerves? Was the exact question he asked. You can see on their faces, you can see the seriousness. It might be something that they have to reconsider.
Here's a Zenial coming through the first draft for Immortals. The global mobility character is very much in favor right now. We actually saw him banned out a ton in EU, so I suspect Immortals are very happy with that draft.
Still, though, for Dino Riders, if they want something that can respond, they can go with the max. We'll have to see whether or not that's going to be their decision. They also banned away that Teamy finally off for their last ban. So what is going to be the answer here? Looks like Liliana and the Lubu.
I like the decision to go for the Lubu, get that out of the hands of Immortals. You know that they're going to prioritize something on the early game to come against with the Zenial, but to make sure that you do not have the Lubu Ryoma combo. It does look like Ryoma is going to be hovered, but just as I say that, Catcher's Curse takes over, and they're going to hover over the Wonder Woman.
I'm very interested to see now what Dave does. We saw him play Charg in our mid a few times. He's played a lot of different characters, but none of them nearly as well as the 3 characters that have been removed from his pool here. I have to watch, I have to see if we're going to see something very strange in mid here.
Though I'm liking for Immortals this front line. There's a lot of protection for their carries if they want to go for it. We still have to see what they decide to pick here on Dino Riders, though. Might be looking at the Lumber.
Yeah, that Lumber coming through from Hoon is very flavor of the month. We see a lot of Lumbers, a lot of Alices in the support role right now. Neo and Immortals are going with the support that's much more popular in Asia. Oromar is very powerful.
I love this decision by the Dino Riders to decide to lock in that Omen. Omen, of course, can cancel out the Zenial ultimate when the ultimate clashes is not able to help him out. And the split pushing power, Dino Riders have been playing a very split push heavy towards the later end of the season for the Valor series. Going with something like this Omen on the side lane, certainly going to help them.
KZ Fox, though, gets his Cricknack, and it's not normally challenged, but it's certainly something that he likes to play, and the Illumia comes through as the mage. Illumia, not a character we see a ton of, but certainly a powerful one in many other regions.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how Dino Riders responds to this and how it gets played out, because this is not something we were necessarily expecting coming into the series. Going to finish it off with the draft, though, with the Lindis.
Now, you take a look at the balanced composition from the Dino Riders. We're going to be able to talk about that mid lane in a second. I know that mid lane, I know you're getting a little excited for it, but let's take a look at the Dino Riders composition and see how well balanced it is. Something that they struggled on is either front-loading it too much of the early game or back-loading it too much of the end game. It seems like they have a solid balance of both the early game as well as the end game.
Yeah, these are both fairly well-rounded compositions, with the exception of this mid lane matchup.
I know you're excited. Let's go ahead and take a look, though. I want to see what Twitch chat has to say. They had an opportunity. You had to choose the Immortals or the Dino Riders. Going to find out exactly who they decided to pick and choose coming into our second semifinal. It's going to be 59% towards the Immortals, so not as much of a discrepancy.
I think that's accurate. I think that's roughly where I would put this matchup. I favor Immortals, definitely, but only by 20% or so.
Well, do not forget as well, not only are we wanting to know what you think in Twitch chat, but we want to know what you think about on Twitter. Head over to Twitter, use the hashtag Valor Series so we can potentially get those tweets on the screen. But ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our second semifinal of the day, the Immortals taking on the Dino Riders.
And welcome, we're in for game one as we enter into the arena. Dino Riders playing for pride here too. They want to show themselves to be a dominant roster coming into the Valor Series quite late, halfway into the season, making it into the playoffs. For UTJ though, what's the game plan on the side of Immortals? How they want to start things off?
I mean, especially now that they have an Illumia, I do feel this has to be a very, very pre-planned game for them. You pull out a character that's not played in meta, they've got to be looking at the Asian regions, they've got to have a specific game plan laid out, and already you can see that Illumia not staying in the mid lane because of the low mobility of the character. They want him to stay with the rest of the team so they can't get ganked during this early phase.
Already adapting, and we'll have to see. It was a trade of buffs though to start things off as Dino Riders came in and took control of the bottom half of the map. I want to also see whether or not we're going to see priority onto the Dragon. Because honestly, for Immortals, that wasn't something they often went for in Week 6, and I feel like Dino Riders could have used that.
Watch from Illumia the Cataclysm ultimate. That's the global ultimate that will do damage to everyone on the map should they stand within the shining light that signals its attack. That can be so powerful because you can basically have Dave completely split from a team fight and still relevant to it.
Then remember, you do also have that Zen that can join into the fights later on to try and answer this Omen push. I feel like Yikes, though, could be quite the threat on the side lane. Still, look at this Dino Riders looking to group up. They want to try and pick off a member of Immortals. Meanwhile, though, KZ Fox going to go ahead and start up the Sentinel.
Yeah, KZ Fox looking to build up the farm early. We'll start with the Sentinel. This cedes some control to Dino Riders near the Abyssal Dragon, but they've got two players here keeping an eye to make sure that it can't be picked up.
Well, Abyssal Dragon just going to be tagged there, wants to try and bring it out of the pit. Does Dino Riders fully commit to this? There's only 3 members of Immortals. They're now starting to roam on over. Maybe it was a little bit too late as it comes on down. Abyssal Dragon down to 3,000, but First Blood going to go in favor of Immortals, and they're going to look up to pick 2 kills off the Dino Riders on top of the Abyssal Dragon. Dino Riders, can they at least answer back? Yikes has to be a bit careful. Hoon does get stunned up there, but Immortals open things off.
Bobo was chained in by the Death's Embrace at the end of that fight, and that Cataclysm came through perfectly in time from Dave, already using Illumia with the team coordination to scare back pressure onto one of their weaker allies.
And that's going to be a 1,500 gold lead at before 3 minutes, and Immortals are not slowing down, invading once again for the Might Golem, trying to take away as much as they can off the map from Dino Riders.
And I really do like this from Immortals. The more pressure they can build in this early game, as we said, the better it looks for them versus Dino Riders, who can be an incredibly momentum-based team.
Well, Dave, gotta be a bit careful there, using a lot of his mana. Should be able to back off, though, underneath the towers. Dino Riders still not feeling confident enough to maybe go for a pick. Still, they're starting to fall a little bit behind. They got to try and make a play happen. Maybe go on to Dave, who's going to be pretty immobile in that mid lane, is going to be playing quite safe. Tears finds CLZ in the jungle, and he's going to have the help of Neo coming on over, but Dino Riders wants to try and answer back. It's a little bit too late, though, as Tears finds the kill. KZ Fox now joins in onto the fight, and Dino Riders are trying to run for their lives back into their jungle. Bobo tries to engage, but they only pick up 1 kill.
It's got to be seen as a victory for Dino Riders, because that almost went very badly wrong for them. And some of that, I think, we got to keep an eye on is the power of Bobo with that Zenial. We've seen Zenial and Max constantly banned out. This is why, in both of the major fights so far, we've seen that Angelic Splendor coming through, allowing him to teleport from the top side of the map into the fight, providing damage reduction all the while.
Yikes was a little far forward there on the Omen, but is able to get back to the 60 of the tower. Immortals, though, going to start up this Sentinel once again, or maybe even look for a fight. Dino Riders, are they really going to go try and toe-toe with this Sentinel on the line? Immortals are going to easily take it.
Dino Riders are definitely behind here in the early game. They need to start playing this slowly and carefully, make sure that they can control their own jungle first, build up their gold, build up their XP, and right now they're struggling with that.
It feels like they're just hesitating on decisions, and maybe that's the lack of a shot caller coming on through. We'll have to see if they can turn it around. Down in bot lane, though, dive coming on in from Immortals, and they're going to take down ZLZ. Dino Riders, though, can they try and answer back? Medic gonna try and pop the ultimate, find 3 members, but it's a 5v3 in the jungle. Dino Riders need to kite back. Maybe they can find the kill onto KZ Fox, but he's gonna survive. Neo on the front line. They do pick up at least 1 kill. Abyssal Dragon was also aggro. KZ Fox has to be careful.
That was so smart. You can absolutely accept the fact that Neo goes down in that situation because you need KZ Fox to survive. You need your jungler to build up a level and gold advantage. If he dies, it means much more for the team than if the tank dies. You already expect your support to be a little behind, so Neo's death is not only acceptable, but indeed an advantage in that fight.
I like Yikes, though, seeing the opportunity to push in that wave and at least take down the first tower of the game, get a little bit of gold back into their pockets. They're now sitting just at that 800 to 900 threshold. You gotta be careful, though. They're going in for another invade. Neo's gonna find
Cataclysm.
Tears wants to join on through. The rest of the Immortals starting to collapse down toward the river. CLZ's just gonna get popped there. 3-0 and 2 Tears on the Wonder Woman. Already 100% kill participation being a huge factor so
I
far.
started this game doubting the Illumia pick a little bit, and Dave has made me regret that. Every single Cataclysm ultimate has been perfectly timed. Here, though, Hoon is taking this matchup very well. He has higher mobility and higher burst. I think he should be able to win it.
That's a decent chunk of damage if Dave's not careful. Up in top lane, though, Bobo gonna go toe-to-toe with Yikes. He's trapped in this 1v1. Who's gonna get out of there? The shield came on through, and Yikes is gonna fall. Meanwhile, though, in the middle of the map, Immortals still want to try and pressure even around small objectives like the Sage Golem.
Very, very good from Bobo, able to leverage his second ability, giving him extra shielding. You can detonate that shielding for a burst of damage, but sometimes it's worth it just to have the extra shielding for the middle of the fight.
And Immortals, they're not taking, honestly, any prisoners or even cutting off the wave down to bot lane.
Splendor.
KZ Fox has to be a bit careful. Medic is going to get the knock up onto multiple members, leading the charge. Hoon comes around. He sees a very low KZ Fox. He can't finish off the kill. The blink comes on forward. He just needs to finish off. One ability will do it. Hoon
can't do it!
Do it!
That
as
is
KZ
insane.
Fox escapes with his life.
KZ Fox is so lucky right now to have the allies he does. Medic doesn't have him anymore as an ally, and he too is removed. That is devastating in favor of Immortals.
That's gotta hurt. You use so much trying to chase down the one member of Immortals, and you can't finish off the kill. Neo wants to go for a dive. Immortals, though, looking just to pressure down this first tier tower. Take it, the second one of the game. Now up 1,500. Oh my goodness! The combo, though, coming back out from Immortals. A 3-man stun will land. Bobo follows up. They only pick up 1 kill. But that is disgusting play from Immortals.
And whenever Dave hits a sick Cataclysm like that, you have to remember that's due to communication. He's looking at whatever is on his screen. Maybe he pans the map over, but 90% of the time, his allies are calling, we need a Cataclysm now. We need the stun, we need the damage, perfectly timed so that we can follow through and find 3 kills.
Now Abyssal Dragon going to be on the table here for Immortals. They want to try and take their second one of the game, gain a little bit more of that gold advantage as it now goes past the 2,500K mark. Sitting pretty at 8 minutes with 9 kills to 1.
Dave is putting on an absolute showcase here on the Illumia at exactly the same time that we see nice impact from KZ Fox on the Kriknak, both characters that we don't see a ton of in competitive play. I really like Immortals managing to experiment here.
KZ Fox going to go up toward that top lane, try and help out Bobo, and try and push in the wave toward the tower, keep CLZ occupied, or they're going to try and cut off the wave. They're going to go in for possibly a Might Golem steal. It's not up at the moment. Dino Riders, this is a nice rotation. This is a nice answer. CLZ going down extremely low. Only 1 snare going to land. CLZ down very low, under 100 health. By that tower is going to escape. Meanwhile, though, Yikes, he is getting spook scared, it seemed, by X tiers on this Wonder Woman. Yikes, with the dodge away from the lasso, will survive.
Would you say that he said yikes?
I bet he was spooked. I think he would be pretty scared there, but Immortals are feeling pretty good about it. Still up 2,500 gold.
So, kind of interesting. They're starting to get used to the Illumia Cataclysm ultimate coming through. That basically means you always need to have an escape ready for the ult markers. But you then don't have those in the beginning phase of the fight, and if you don't spend them in the early phase, you're vulnerable in the late phase.
Yeah, you saw another one coming on down, even around that Spirit Sentinel, so Dave using that rather frequently. How does Dino Riders kind of stop the bleeding, it would seem, here? They've been able to pick up a Sentinel or 2, but feels like Immortals are just playing aggressive, wanting to try and push forward onto Dino Riders.
Yes, I want to see more focus on the Illumia, but also worth noting the highest assists rate on the team right now is actually Neo on the Oromar. So maybe pay a bit of attention to how he's managing to engage. He's sitting with 7 assists. Every single fight, it feels like he's able to get in, pop his ultimate, the standing tall, and provide so much pressure and value for his team.
Well, dive coming on through up toward the top lane. Meanwhile, in bot, Dino Riders were looking to position themselves, instead opting to just take away the Might Golem. Look at this, 4 members of Dino Riders now have shifted their way into the mid lane. They're actually able to pick up that mid lane tower. See LZ going down extremely low. KZ Fox gonna finish him off underneath the tower.
The drone drop dash used just for an extra burst of movement speed to pick up the tower, and well, it's going to be the Abyssal going in response at the same time.
I'm liking Dino Riders though. They see the plays from Immortals and they're able to try and answer back, but this team fight might be not too pretty for either side. Dino Riders are split across. Yikes is diving onto Dave, but he has the support of his team. KZ Fox got extremely choked on down. Dave is now the target. Dino Riders, they may have found a fight in the river. Finally, Neo going to be running for his life, just looking to delay. Bobo comes around on the side, but what can he do? 3 members of Immortal fall, and Bobo might be next.
And that is all because they changed exactly as we were asking them to. Bobo is actually gets back and pulled out of his own ultimate to try and escape. Yikes is taking this fight, and he may regret it.
That might be a little low. The rest of his team actually went straight up to the Darkslayer. Bobo is going to survive. He gets on over to the wall. Darkslayer goes down extremely low. KZ Fox
got one.
go to. Oh,
He didn't get the Slayer.
Didn't get the Slayer. Had no way of securing it. KZ Fox will get taken down. Dino Riders, this is aggressive play, and this is a gold lead for them now, finally at 11.5 minutes.
That is so good from Dino Riders. They're finally able to hit that momentum we were asking for. During the middle of that fight, they completely avoided Neo. They managed to not get distracted by the tank, instead push through and deal with the squishier, low mobility characters hovering in the back of the fight.
This was not what I expected for Dino Riders to gain an advantage. You can see the gold just drop off the face of the earth, now back into their favor after a couple clean fights coming through and the Darkslayer being taken.
They get Spirit Sentinel, Abyssal, and Darkslayer, along with a few towers at the same time. That's what they need to get back on top. And now, despite a drastic kill difference, the gold lead is narrowly in their favor.
I'm liking this from Medic, using that lumber just to zone out Immortals. They cannot stand near their tower. And the question in my mind is, for Immortals, how do they respond to this? They're behind in a matchup that a lot of people heavily favored them. Dino Riders, they're looking to keep up the pressure. Bobo jumps on in, trying to clear out the minions. Medic is able to land the knockup, but the tower is not long for this world.
Very good from Dino Riders, again managing to have a split push there with the Liliana hovering around the side. Hoon doing such a good job of providing pressure.
Yikes has 2 members up in top lane, and guess what? Dino Riders, they say, all right, guys, let's go for this high ground tower in the face of Immortals. They take down Neo. Dino Riders, this looks like a completely different team.
And you could see the Xennial Angelic Splendor wasn't able to find nearly as much value there. So much of what Immortals have been doing so successfully has been, whenever there's a grouped fight, they've been using their ultimates perfectly. This time, Immortals, they have their ultimates baited out. We saw the Cataclysm not be nearly as effective. We saw a great Angelic Splendor come through, and right as it would make the fight so difficult, Dino Riders pulled back, didn't take the fight, waited till it was done, and then pressed for the kills.
And I like Dino Riders because we talk about momentum, the tempo they're able to gain. Immortals, they shut them down early, but somehow Dino Riders were able to find a crack in the armor, swing back the gold, and now the game's in their favor.
More than in their favor. They are in complete control of the jungle. They have a slight tower lead, and I really do like the fact that this whole time the Lindis has been leaving her little entrapment traps all around the map so that they have extra vision. They know if anyone crosses that bot lane tower.
I like this from both teams. We're getting closer to that 15-minute mark. People starting to level off in the levels. And everyone's playing hide and go seek. Nobody wants to get caught out here. Neo might have to be careful here because Dino Riders, they're coming around to the side. CLZ might go for the flank. Neo is able to get to safety.
Hoon has been such a star player for his side here, and so much of this is because of the pressure he's providing. See the blinding lights coming in for crucial stuns, comboed often again with the Lindis entrapment from Chosen, sitting on 4 assists. That's not a bad Lindis at all.
And Dino Riders, they've now surged ahead to a 4,500 gold lead. over Immortals. And now we're pressuring the final tower outside the base of the blue side. And KZ Fox, he might get caught out. Has to be careful. The rest of the fight, though, happening up toward the top lane. Comes on through. Those are some very healthy bars coming out through on the side of Immortals. They may have found the fight finally after struggling for so long. Tears on the front line, slowly going on down. High ground tower was taken down in the mid lane. Hoon goes off again onto the members, able to join in onto the fight. 4 members of Immortals fall, and Dino Riders now have the opportunity to maybe go for a close.
Hoon dies for an absurd kill and leaves KZ Fox alone defending the base. They have minions in mid. This could be game a drastic upset against Immortals.
KZ Fox, how does he play this? He has to clear out the minions, but Dino Riders, they're making the call. Chosen goes down extremely low. KZ Fox able to take him out. There's no more minions. Dino Riders cannot finish.
He's done enough. He's held on for now. But held on is the right word. Neo's up in 8 seconds, X-Tier's in 6. They are so close to getting a few respawns, but Dino Riders only have 2 players left to push.
The base is in shambles. Immortals are able to hold on to their mortality in game 1. For them, what do they have to do? Dino Riders, they weren't able to close it out. One of our notes coming into this was, for Dino Riders, they weren't able to close out fights. They have now shown they've been able to go toe-to-toe with the second best team in North America, TJ.
They look so much better in the middle of fights. One of the things we were looking at a lot for the NA teams, Immortals and Dino Riders, it meant like their communication seems to break down sometimes. What we've seen here, and that's still true for Immortals, Dino Riders, though, have been making adaptations. I don't know if they're calling pre-fight, how to react to the Cataclysm ultimates, but they are reacting to them. They are adapting very well, and Hoon has been benefiting the most from it.
And for me, does this come from scouting ahead into this matchup against Immortals? Because we were expecting Immortals to be the more prepared ones coming into this. This is a massive organization. KZ Fox might be caught out himself. The rest of Immortals, though, flanking over from the bot side of the map. Medic tries to split up the fight. Chosen gets taken on down. Hoon is the next target. Tears is right on top of him. Tears, though, has to back off, realizes this is not what he needs to do. Dave gets taken down extremely low. Bobo now rejoins the fight with the ultimate. Jumps on in. Hoon has to blink away. Still has that talent available. But guess what? In the base, door. CLZ is pushing for the end of the game. The minions get cleared out. Immortals are just struggling. They're grasping at straws, it would seem. Dino Riders, they're coming down from top lane.
Dino Riders won the fight in top lane in the meantime. Even though CLZ goes down, Hoon and Medic are still here. They just need to wait for the mid-minion wave.
14 seconds on KZ Fox if he wants to try and rejoin. Neo has to somehow delay this push. It's only a lumber in Hoon. They're just going to try and rush for the core. And Dino Riders, have they done it? They have taken game 1 over Immortals.
What's the regional finals without the risk of an upset? Ladies and gentlemen, the Dino Riders have taken game number 1 over the number 2 seed Immortals. Welcome back to the Death to the Valor series presented by AT&T. My name is Jump, I've got TJ, I've got Opal. Gentlemen, that was a game. This is why we're here for the finals.
We were so prepared to talk about a finals between Immortals and
we
ALG.
Were. So about that notebook, do I need to take
no,
it away?
You're not this time. You took it away last time, not this time. I'm prepared because that was an insane series and it was mostly, I feel, in the drafting phase.
For me, I was expecting, Dino Riders, if they were going to take a game, it would have been in game 1, but it would have been off aggression early and just snowballing the game. This one, they adapted. They fought back against Immortals and were able to close it out.
It's the fight or flight, and in this specific instance, you're in the regional finals. You have to fight. There is no flight available, or you're going to be sitting in the grandstands. And as a result, we can take a look just over the 10-minute mark. 3 kills go in the hands of Dino Riders.
I was so impressed by this because Dino Riders clearly made an adjustment, and so much of it was Hoon. Watch as this fight starts. KZ Fox presses in very aggressive. He's trying to lock down the fight, but the same is happening from Yikes. He's pressuring the backlines. He's able to isolate Dave, and that's where the rest of Dino Riders come through. Hoon in particular finds a massive burst of damage, and Neo is left as a tank not tanking anything.
And this is not what we expected from Dino Riders. In Week 6, they had trouble closing out fights against Immortals. Oftentimes, when they had the jump onto their enemy team, I'm just shocked. Dino Riders, I don't know what happened in the last week, but they have just adjusted.
And not only that, but it's the execution of the team fights that they have so admirably done. 14 and a half minutes in the game, 4 kills goes in their hands. It was a disaster.
It was beautiful, and Immortals did so much of this right as well. That Angelic Splendor was perfectly timed, and as soon as Bobo lands, he lands a sick Pally, is doing a ton of damage, but keep an eye again on Hoon, who comes in from the mid lane and devastates this tightly packed Immortals roster. He finds the damage from the unpredictable transformation, the blinding light, and the shining light, all 3 of his AoE damage abilities onto such a tight clump of players, and then he shakes us down 1 in Fox form, just for extra points.
You take a look at how this game started. We're excited. We saw how the game ended, but we need to go start at the beginning. We have to start at the beginning of the chapter, and for me, it all came down to the draft phase. Dino Riders, I mentioned it right before we got into the game. They had early game, they had late game. I think it was a bit of a mess for the side of Immortals.
Yeah, Immortals really struggled, I think, in coordination, and that's not what you expect from a roster that they said to me they've been practicing so hard with this new roster. They came in from week 6 completely prepared, it felt like, and every single team fight, they had elements that looked good, but I think they struggled to make them all work together.
And that's such a contrast to Dino Riders, because we were able to talk to them a little bit earlier on in the week, and they weren't going extremely hard at the practice. They were relaxing, enjoying their time here at the playoffs. And to open things off with a Game 1 victory over Immortals, now you got to have the blood surging through you. You got to be saying, hey, guys, we have a shot at going to Worlds.
And you know what? I want to touch upon Hoon as well. Most played hero is Tulin over the regular season, but his performance on Liliana in that last game was outstanding.
It was insane because I went into the draft. I didn't want to call out Hoon on Liliana because I hadn't seen it, but I didn't know the stats. It's certainly not one of his most played characters, and he looked so good on a character that he's not known for playing.
All right. Game 1 is over. Gentlemen, we can take a little break on that one. The chapter has ended. It is now chapter 2 for game number 2. The big fan phase is going to be starting shortly. Dino Riders will be on the blue side now. You're going to have Immortals on the red. What are we expecting?
Honestly, I don't think Immortals can ban away the Tulin now. They got to force that away from Dino Riders and give up a ban because honestly, Dave, though the new pick came out, it was impressive. I just felt like he was outclassed by Hoon in the mid lane.
Remember, this last draft started by forcing Dave off of his comfort zone. This time, the first ban coming through is Teamy, which is not a target, and they won't have the opportunity to first pick, meaning they really only have these next 2 bans over on the Dino Riders side. The first one there is targeted.
Yeah, that is targeted toward Dave on the flash. The Alice being hovered here on the side of Immortals, if they want to try and take that away from Medic, would still be a good one, because I felt like Medic, he was mainly used as a zoning utility player in that scenario. He wasn't engaging onto the fights. This is an interesting one, the Zen being banned out.
Yeah, I don't think I mind that because Zenial is certainly a very powerful character, and Yikes likes to play him. Ooh.
That's
So this is very interesting for me. Considering the power that Alice provides in the current meta, I was expecting Dino Riders, with the showing that they had and the proficiency in their draft phase, to actually leave the Alice open, potentially for something like a first pick. With the Max being banned away, it looks as if they might want to prioritize something like that Lubu instead.
I think maybe they just have a really set plan. Lubu's a good call. They have a really set plan. He just did a little thumbs up on the desk. They don't want to go through the risk of possibly changing what worked in game 1, and maybe the other team having an Alice interrupts what they did.
I like this though for Immortals. Try and get Dave onto a comfort hero because it worked well in the regular season. No reason to try and fix what ain't broke on the side of Immortals. It does get locked in, so he will have that in the mid lane.
Dave back in his comfortable characters. I don't like the fact that that happens now, because not only is Tulin his most comfortable character, it's his most played character by far.
Seeing what we have now, Dino Riders with the 2-3, sideline preference being a clear situation for them, as well as potentially securing themselves something in that support position. They found success on the Lumber in game number 1. It looks to be a repeat for game number 2. Again, going with consistency. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Omen being locked in.
Yeah, I liked Yikes on the Omen because they were able to, again, apply so much pressure. We'll have to see whether or not that actually goes towards him or he decides to play the Lubu, but still, having that pressure on the opposite side of the map and drawing Immortals away from objectives is what I felt like allowed Dino Riders to secure a lot of those Abyssal Dragons. For the side here of Mortals, this be an interesting one, TJ.
Arduin, my friend.
No, not quite.
Ooh.
Nearly. You got faked out. The Arduin would have been very interesting because it is something Dino Riders occasionally play, but instead they opt for, I assume that's going to be a jungle Violet.
It's a mid lane Violet.
It's a mid lane Violet.
No, it's not a mid lane. It's definitely not a mid lane
I thought that
Violet.
I'd missed something into the NA better.
Surprise!
I was so shocked.
I am, though. I'm liking that the NA teams, they're thinking about it, maybe bringing out the Raz, possibly. Get swapped on over there to the Liliana. I like that on Hoon. He had a great showing in game
And look
1.
at what you have from the
Wow.
composition of the Dino Riders. It is almost identical to their composition in game number 1, substituting the Yorn in for the Lindis from last game.
The Lindis was finding a lot of value with the entrapments. That's a ton of damage
Yes.
from an AoE burst. Yorn has an equivalent skill, so I'd look again to see that.
You can see there, though, the Arduin going to be the last lock-in on the side of Immortals. And that's an interesting one because we thought Medic would be the one playing that one, but Dino Riders, it gets taken away from him.
Yeah, I'm actually curious as well that Hoon was even considering a Raz. After a game like that, do you really consider changing things up?
I don't think so. I think that they have shown consistency in game number 1, but the real consistency comes down to, are they able to take that victory and push themselves forward? Immortals, unfortunately, have found themselves down a game in the regular season. They were able to rally and win the next 2 games to make themselves to the semis or the grand finals or whatever it may be during the regular season. So now they're the ones that are in the hole. And the sad thing to say is we've seen this from the Immortals before, so we're going to have to find out whether or not they're going to decide their own fate. But in the meantime, and the spirit of E3, Arena of Valor is coming to the Nintendo Switch. There's a link below. Click it, link it, type it, whatever it may be. Sign up for the closed beta that will be happening later on this summer. But ladies and gentlemen, game number 2 of semifinal number 2 is starting right now.
And what a game 2 we're going to have here, TJ, because Immortals are now on the brink of elimination. I didn't think I would be saying that until possibly the grand final, but Dino Riders are looking to rewrite the story on us and try and take their place into the North American final.
Immortals, as you say, are 1 game away from being eliminated from World Cup contention. And that's got to be very stressful for them.
And after this team that likes to prep themselves and look to scout out their opponents, to have this coming down in shambles might be hurtful, but let's start off with a fight. Dave getting caught out in towards the river. Rest of the team looks to try and come on over on the side, and Dino Riders, they might be in a little bit of trouble as Dave is able to pick up first blood. Medic running for the hills. Roll is not available there just yet for KZ. We'll finally find it. 2 kills go in favor of Mortals.
KZ already finding value on the switch over to the Violet. And, well, you said Dive and Dave at the same time, and I thought it was appropriate. He was very divey as Dave, and it worked very well.
So Immortals going to start things off with a 2-0 kill lead, 1,000 gold in flux at 1 minute and 30 seconds. This is, though, pretty similar to what we saw in game 1. Dino Riders got punished for their aggression. How did they adapt? How did they try and turn this around?
Well, like you said, game 1 was so much about adaptation. I see no reason why it can't be the same case here. Dino Riders made a distinct call and a distinct adaptation when the Illumia combo started giving them trouble. I fully expect if this is the same Dino Riders that won game 1, they will take a few fights and start making some noticeable adjustments to the more aggressive potential of this new roster.
Dino Riders going to try and secure control around this Abyssal Dragon, getting the Seagull, going to give them some vision up into Immortals, South Jungle, Neo, and KZ Fox, though, roaming on down. They want to try and collapse here toward this Mike Golem. You try and find out a member of Dino Riders. Immortals, this is aggressive. Yikes is around to the side. Bobo jumps on in, does not land the stun yet. Yikes trying to zone out the team. Chosen is a little off to the side, but Hoon wants to rejoin. They are able to at least secure themselves the buff.
Yeah, Chosen managed to steal it out from the middle of all that with a nice dive in and punish. Now, that means it, of course, isn't up for this Abyssal Dragon, which I think they know. That's why Immortals are trying to gather some zone around it. Dino Riders are unlikely to give this up.
Might be caught out here. Medic leads the charge. Neo going down extremely low. Knockup follows on through. Shozen will be able to pick up the kill on the Lubu. A nice bit of gold now on him.
And that is a slight adaptation. One of the things about these dive compositions, like Immortals are running, is they're going to be very powerful if they can all group up and execute a preset strategy. If you can ambush one player, burn down, in this case, the Arduin, who's a little bit too lax on retreating, well then, you're able to turn fights around and keep the game around without having to take the risky fight versus dive.
I like this though for Immortals. I talked about their early oh my goodness, that was close.
That was coordination. Woo! Medic was calling for the hard shot from Yikes in the bot lane. He was watching. They didn't think that was a big deal because Medic, of course, doesn't have the potential to steal that dragon, but he almost makes the call at just the right time that the long-ranged ultimate from Yorn steals the dragon.
Neo tries to step up close to Hoon, but I like this from Immortals because we talked about in Week 6 against their matchup with Dino Riders, they took a long time to go for the first Abyssal Dragon. This time around, though, they get one at 3.5 minutes, get a little bit more gold into their pockets, maybe looking for a kill themselves. Dave, using that Thunderbird, is not going to be able to pick off the kill on Hoon as he gets back to the safety of his tower.
That was close. That Thunderbird, of course, so dangerous for finishing off kills on mobile characters. It's very hard as a Liliana to leave a fight versus a Tula.
Okay, you saw there up in the top lane, CLZ actually using his ultimate to trap Tears. Says, you ain't going anywhere, buddy. You're stuck in the lane there. Might buff, though, was secured here for Chosen. Once again, some nice control of their south side jungle coming out from Dino Riders.
Chosen consistently managing to lock it down, and that's good. If Immortals or any team are pressuring you and you're able to just deny them what they want, you're actually finding value because they're spending time that they could be jungling in your jungle, not generating revenue.
But this was a nice rotation coming out from Immortals. They saw that Hoon was chunked low, was forced to have to back off, and they secured themselves the first tower of the game. Immortals looking for a fight there, KZ. Just going to give them a little bit of a both.
Yeah, Chosen perhaps overstaying his welcome, but he's got allies, Yikes and co. All right there, X-Teal's again caught out. He's got his ult though, that's a knockup.
Yeah, the knockup comes on through from the shock. CLZ deciding not to go for a fight. It looks like these guys are just trading their ultimates back and forth and no one's really taking any damage.
I thought maybe there'd be a deadly combo from that knockup, but looks like it's your typical wet pillow fight at the top lane.
Hey, I see that often in all games. Either way, Siege Minion's going to be coming out here shortly. Sentinel has not been prioritized yet from Dino Riders, and they were doing that a lot. But look at this rotation coming on down from the side of Immortals. Hoon might be caught out here. Medic going to get knocked up. Yikes is just going back to the base. He does not want to be anywhere near this, and Hoon will get taken down. KZ Fox picks up another kill, 2-0-1 on the Violet.
Neo was left in the dust there on the Arduin, but he ults in, making sure he can stay close to the fight and continue taking the vast majority of his team's damage. Exactly what you want out of a tank, exactly what you want out of an Arduin.
We'll see here, no cheeky steal coming on through from Dino Riders as Mortals can easily secure that one. Their second Abyssal of the game, now sitting pretty at 2,500 gold over Dino Riders at 6 minutes.
Mortals, like you say, a gold leader pushing for more, and Neo's got a good knock-up, but he's too far forward.
He can't get out of there, and Chosen will be able to pick up the kill. Immortals trying to run on back. Hoon Thunderbird is going to connect from Dave, but they do lose one member for that invade onto the Michael. Tears just outside of the tower. Ults up, comes right on back down. He can't run away from that one.
It's knife, right? If you're in the ult, if you are ever Death's Embraced as a Malik, you can shock, and basically the entire time that animation takes, while you're going up and down, you're immortal. Nobody can hit you. So it's a good defensive maneuver, particularly if he was maybe a bit worried that he might be inside of the tower's range.
Yeah, if he was inside the tower's range, but either or. I'm liking the trade of ultimates every time we come up to top lane. There's creative uses coming through. KZ Fox, though, might want to try and stir the pot a little as he comes around the corner, sitting at level 11. A lot of gold was funneled onto this Violet. Neo gonna just jump on back, but the siege is coming in from Immortals.
IMT want this tower, and they've got good setup for it.
That's going to be a double knockup coming out from Medic. They get the tower down to about a fifth of its health, but they have to wait for the next minion wave to crash on through.
So what they're doing really is they have the tank pressure, and all of this is an excuse for KZ Fox to chunk it every time the minion wave gets close.
We're going to go ahead, take the Sentinel, wait for the minion wave to push on forward. They also took
know they
the
can't hold
Seagull. Dino Riders, they say, all right, guys, we can't hold on to this tower any longer. Now down 3,000 gold. Immortals have a lot of pressure now toward the top side of the map, taking out all the outer turrets.
The only way to deal with that strategy is to pressure back. You need to basically take the fight. Otherwise, the tanks just hold the front line, and KZ Fox or whoever is playing Violet hovers in back and does the tower damage while they're well out of your range.
Well, look at this. How much is Immortals going to commit just for this Might Golem? It was secured, though, on the side of Immortals on Dave, so they do successfully take it away and instantly turn on to possibly their third Abyssal Dragon of the game. What does Dino Riders do? They're split up. They don't think they know this is happening until they see the announcement.
Well, they know now as an optimistic hard shot reigns in. I don't know. I think you have to keep an eye on Darkslayer because IMT are probably going to start looking to convert here. It is possibly Dino Riders' only path back into the game. The other thing they can look for is individual ganks. Group up your members, look for high damage bursts onto players. Like I might be waiting a bit too long.
Well, Neo's also there on toward the side. Immortals, though, decide not to go for the fight. What I like from Immortals this time around is it looks like they've calmed down. They took that pause between Game 1 and Game 2 to refocus, play a little bit more slowly, not go for the risky fights, and more focus onto the objectives.
This is such a slow game in contrast to Game 1, and that's really benefiting Immortals. The fact that Immortals have the opportunity to kind of think through, talk through all their on-map decisions, I think really benefits the team that occasionally struggles with coordination and shot calling in the more chaotic moments.
Headache trying to be a rocket push there. Not going to happen, though, as he has to back off to the safety of Yikes and Chosen. Immortals starting to group up. They want to try and pick off one member of Dino Riders and maybe then turn instantly for that Darkslayer. They're positioning themselves around the top side of the map. Now you finally have Bobo coming into the mid lane, trying and pressure, force back Dino Riders possibly into this choke point. Comes on forward, looks for the stun, is not going to find it. Immortals still, though, pressuring.
Neo keeps burning his ult to chase kills, and that's how he died in the first place. That's how he may die in future fights, but this is a murder bush.
This is the death bush, you could say. Yikes has to dodge away, is not going to get knocked up by X-Tiers, but the rest of the team is pouring on forward, and the trap was sprung, and Immortals find themselves a victim, and now are looking for the more. Boom! Are you serious? The damage, the turnaround coming on down from Dino Riders. They're cleaning up Immortals left and right.
Right key shot comes through from Hoon. KZ Fox will find the answer. Dave's still here.
Wants to go for the kill. Thunderbird is not available. It looks like it's on cooldown. He can't finish off Medic. But that was a messy fight in the jungle. 3 for 3 on both sides.
That's a victory for Dino Riders. All things considered, only one tower will be picked up, and it's by no means the high ground pressure I think Immortals were looking for. They started that fight so well, but it was the same thing in almost exactly the same map position. Who managed to find a devastating combo onto a group of Immortals players who were not expecting his AoE burst from Liliana.
Yeah, that Liliana, maybe those changes that came on through, a lot of people said they were nerfs. Well, Hoon is showing that he can still play her effectively and lethally, it would seem, because without him so far, I feel like Dino Riders, this could be a different series entirely, TJ.
Absolutely. Hoon has been a star here, and I expected him to shine, but not so much on the Liliana. The fact that he pulled out a character he hasn't played so much of in the regular season and goes this well on him is really cool to see.
I'm liking the objective control, though, from Immortals. That's the 4th Abyssal Dragon of the game. We mentioned it yesterday. First Abyssal take often leads to a 70% win rate. Immortals, let's see if they can hold true to that number. Dino Riders moved up into the mid lane. Immortals gotta be careful, though. The AoE available from Hoon, if he's able to catch out members, we saw it again. If you're grouped up against Dino Riders, it may not work. Bobo gets caught out in the jungle. CLZ is going to trap him. Needs to finish off the kill, though. The Omen, though, is the target, and Immortals are able to pick up the fight. Bobo staying alive. KZ Fox also running away for their lives. The rest of the team is there to finally help them out, and Dino Riders are falling 3 members.
What was the CLZ got the Death's Embrace? He had a member just there in a zoo, and they stopped and watched.
They said, hey, that's a pretty interesting Bobo you got there.
It was a rare animal and you can't tap the glass? I don't know.
I don't know.
He was there for so long. There were so many Dino Riders members nearby, and they didn't look for any damage during that time.
Maybe the exhibit wasn't open, but for Dino Riders, it's those mistakes you can't let happen. If you get the opportunity to take down members of Immortals, you gotta go for it, because Immortals, they are gonna strike back. They are not gonna give you an inch if they're able to find themselves an advantage. Now, starting up the Dark Slayer, going down to about 3,000 health. The bow was already used, the arrow was already onto KZ Fox. They're able to secure themselves the Dark Slayer.
A few moments ago, you actually saw that heart shot come through from the base of Dino Riders. Kind of theory crafting that maybe Immortals were going for Dark Slayer and they might just get lucky. This time, not nearly as effective. They weren't nearly as lucky as that one time they almost scraped out an Abyssal Dragon.
But when we looked back in game one, this is kind of around the time that Dino Riders started to shift back the focus. They found themselves a good fight. They found themselves a Dark Slayer. But now you're down 8,000 gold. This is literally double the deficit they had to come back from in game one. Can they pull it off? Immortals are grouped up. Another three-man stun. Boone has to be careful. Heal already comes out for the safety. Immortals don't pick off a kill, but that is a threat to Dino Riders.
He spent his unpredictable, his biggest dash just to transform the human form so he could do some poke, and then he was left very far forward and with no major mobility. They knew that and tried to burn him down. Had they picked up Hoon, Immortals win that fight. Just because they knock him low, they now get 2 free towers and are looking for the high ground.
Immortals want to push on in. Three-man knockup comes out from Medic. Bobo, though, is able to assassinate members of Dino Riders if he's given the opportunity. Yikes. He's going to be saying, yikes. Hoon, are you serious? How do you hold on for Dino Riders single-handedly, it would seem, as the rest of the team is just sitting there looking to clear out the waves?
The one thing they do super well there is clear the wave. They need to do that again now.
Hoon has to stay alive. Dave, what are you doing in the middle of the team? He gets the assassination on to the members of Dino Riders. Chosen will pick up the kill onto KZ Fox. Dino Riders holding on to dear life, it would seem, but Immortals are looking to put the dagger away.
Chosen hard committed to that fight, diving in to clear the minion wave and buy time for the rest of his team. It was a smart play, but I don't know that it was enough as Immortals are now knocking on their door.
They took one high ground tower, not going to come back for the second one in bot lane, but they do sit 9,000 gold ahead, 15 minutes shortly on the clock, maybe even pick up another Abyssal Dragon for good measure, and then look to finish off the goal.
Abyssal Dragon will be picked up as you call. Mostly full build, just 1 or 2 items remaining over on Immortals, so who knows, that might make all the difference in the world. They don't have much else to do because they already have the towers. They're just waiting for their players to get back up.
Rest of the team backing off here. Looks like Immortals not looking to pressure immediately. Try and catch off a member of Dino Riders and then make them pay. Spirit Sentinel was maybe a possibility there. Instead, Dino Riders going to clear out their jungle, try and secure as much gold as possible, and get ready for this final fight.
Dave and Neo will in the top lane. Neo is looking for burst.
Going to get the knockup onto CLZ. The shock going to come on in.
That's big.
Gets another knockup. KZ Fox now enters in onto the fight, but look how long it is taking Immortals to take down a single member. The knockup follow on through, and it looks like a repeat of game one as Dino Riders are finding fights in the jungle and in top lane.
He stays alive for so long, and the second CLZ's in serious trouble. Medic comes through and lands an absolutely insane Earth Splitter, knocking up 3 members of the enemy team and completely stopping Immortals in their tracks.
For Immortals, they're so close to finishing off this game, but Dino Riders find themselves another fight. It's only 1 high ground tower taken down. The bot lane has been damaged quite a bit, but Dino Riders, they're positioning themselves. They want to strike back.
CLZ was so lucky there to be able to stay alive, and he's got a really tanky build. He's got a standard just coming through. That investment to make a borderline tank in the late game really paid off, as it's the only reason Dino Riders, I think, were able to win that fight instead of just having one of their highest DPS characters ganked.
So Dino Riders clear out the jungle. They take down the second tier tower in top lane. But now they have to defend against another Immortals push. The minions are starting to group up. I like this job done by CLZ. He actually grouped up the minions in bot lane, so it's going to slow push back in toward Immortals tower. Immortals, they try and just go for the kill onto CLZ. He's caught out in the side lane. If he stays too long, Immortals are coming. Here they go. Are they going to try and focus him down? CLZ, though, just jumps right right
He
on top of
commits
Casey Fox, and they pick off the AD. The marksman is no longer available. Yikes, comes on over to the side. Decent amount of damage coming on down. They only lose one member, but Dino Riders, look at your base. Minions are starting to pour on in. They have to back off and clear off the core.
I don't think they've noticed. Yes, they have. Now the recalls come through, and even a hard shot crawling across the map. Very well done, though, for them to take that fight. That was a trap. CLZ specifically went to push the tower knowing it would force Immortals to contest. They made that trap work accidentally. Now they look to make it work for real.
Boone is coming around to the side. He is the major damage. Immortals, what has happened? The game was in your grasp, but Dino Riders have decided they do not want to go extinct. They will not die, it would seem, as Immortals are still struggling. No one falling in the fight.
They are looking like a prehistoric monster indeed here as Dino Riders push in. This is now Immortals seriously on the brink of defeat. A 2-0 for a team that was considered one of the top seeds and indeed the favorites coming into this tournament.
And the mentality, you took 5 Abyssal Dragons, you took the Dark Slayer, you took a high ground tower, you took fights left and right in the early game. What else could you have done to make this game more easier to close?
Killed Hoon. They should have done that more. They didn't do it nearly enough.
He's actually got the most deaths tied with Dino Riders. I don't know how Immortals are falling behind, it would seem. Dino Riders have been able to fight back. They find the fights. They've seemed so coordinated. We did not see this in the regular season of the Valor series.
Hoon's assist chart is what you should be looking at. He has 8 assists. That's inordinately high, and it's because he's finding a ton of splash damage during these close-range fights.
Three-man knock-up. Tears is falling down. There goes the tank. Immortals, they're running for the hills because they have to. Dino Riders, they find themselves 2 members of Immortals. Dave wants to try and turn back the fight. This is going back. Dave, he just jumps on in, picks up 1 member, make it 2 members as Immortals are able to strike back with 2 kills of their own.
Very well done by Dave there, just to know how much he could pressure. He lands a huge ultimate onto Medic. The second he knocks Medic low, they know they can press in, and indeed they do, forcing the lower HP members of the team to deal with both a Violet and a Tulin who survived to the late phase of the fight. That's not something that Immortals have had the luxury of very often.
And we're closing in, TJ, on the 20-minute mark here on the side of Game 2. Dino Riders needing to just take down this core on the side of Immortals. They got to go through a couple towers, but they have to be feeling confident after finding so many fights. Boone has been a monster on this Liliana, and they're looking to keep up the pressure.
20 minutes into game, indeed, a very high game time for Arena Valor in general, and
This whole
certainly
weekend.
for North America, a region that's normally famed for their quick games. Well, both teams are having trouble closing right now.
Bobo able to get away from the
Nike
knockup,
shot.
but he's got nowhere to run. The Nike shot comes on in and deletes him from the arena. Hoon picks up the kill, and now the Dark Slayer going to be the focus for Dino Riders.
Neo knows, X-Tiers knows, Immortal knows, they have to kill Medic quickly enough. He can't zone them, and they cannot. Here comes Dino Riders, and they're riding to victory.
They're wanting to surge on forward and take down the base of Immortals as Neo will fall. They have minions in the top lane. They have minions in the mid lane. They want to keep up the pressure. How does Immortals now hold on after losing the Dark Slayer?
They need to be so
red
good on this
team
minion
tower
wave
has been
control, but there are 2
destroyed.
waves crashing simultaneously, and this is going to guarantee a high ground
Boone.
down.
That was a little aggressive there. KZ Fox on this Violet has hit the late game. You have to
this is a
respect
good
that.
shot.
Yikes, gets knocked up there, but there's no follow-up. The tower was taken down by CLZ. Immortal's base is exposed in 2 lanes. Dino Riders are looking for the upset.
They now have the lead,
red
and
team
they're so
tower has
close to
been
taking the game
destroyed.
from Immortals. I'm not sure if they should still be hovering, given their lower HP bars and the fact that the Slayer buff is going to be fading soon. This is going to be the last fair, honest fight for both teams, and it likely decides the balance of the game.
And who will go on to our grand finals and possibly represent North America at the World Championship? Fight breaks out, and Immortals is able to find 2
that is
members.
huge!
Dino Riders, they're starting to lose out here. Minions starting to come in through the mid lane. Triple kill for KZ Fox. Immortals is somehow holding on.
Hoon desperately spamming the recall button right now. He needs to get back to base and just hope, pray that they've pushed wave long enough that these 30, 40-second respawn timers will not end their shot at the grand finals.
Mid lane exposed for both teams, but it's an additional high ground tower. now taken down in Immortals base.
They
in
just
the
left the
top
base.
lane. They left the base.
This is a
Minions,
flank.
what is going on here? Dino Riders, they have only 3 members. It's only 2 up. What is going to happen? The minions are pouring
10
on
seconds on
in.
respawn.
Hoon has to somehow clear out these minions, or is Immortals going to make the call to
5
try
seconds.
and force a game 3? They take down the Liliana. They're desperate to
These
get
spawns are
rid
through.
of the minions. They were able to assassinate, but one survived, and Immortals forces game 3.
We're going to game 3.
And just like that, a game number 3 has been forced. The Immortals strike back against the Dino Riders. Ladies and gentlemen, if you wanted a good show on your hands, the public doors are open. If you've got a Gamer Pass, you're here at E3. We are live from the ESL Arena. The Valor Series Regional Finals have been continuing throughout the course of today, and the Immortals have forced a game number 3.
You could not ask for a better series than this. We had such bold predictions heading in. We thought Immortals had it in the bag. Dino Riders have, I think, burst that bag.
Dino Riders, the series was in their grasp. They were so close from pulling off this upset. But Immortals, they fought back. They showed why their name is Immortals, and were able to force a game 3.
I want to be able to make sure that we continuously highlight the fact that despite Immortals winning game number 2, it was not a match that came easy for them by any means of the game. You take a look back, yes, they had themselves a lead, but Dino Riders, you said it yourself, Opal, they do not stop striking back.
And this was a great setup from Immortals, and they had many of these, but for some reason they just kept getting turned around. And for me, it just hurt.
Look at how many of their ultimates they just blew. X2 spends his shock as well, and they have a whole bunch of investment in terms of mobility. So when they go for this fight, Immortals are pretty low in terms of what they can do. Especially when Hoon lands this
Oh my
flaky shot,
goodness.
and the unpredictable is perfectly combined. CLZ is already on the flank. He's got a death beacon to ensure the full damage lands, and they split the fight. CLZ, an incredible star player in this game. His positioning was insane.
I gotta highlight Hoon again. Honestly, we were not expecting this, and going toe-to-toe with Dave has been able to just pull off insane plays, insane damage on that Liliana.
And he's the one that I want to talk about explicitly. Dave's Tulin, you said he has the most success as well as the most picked hero. He had over 18 and a half minutes in this game, a beautiful triple kill that sealed the deal for the Immortals.
And this was so good as a fight as well because Immortals nearly lost it. They lose both their tanks. A ton of damage coming through, but Dino Riders crucially spend everything they have in the tank for this kill. Dave then pops his ultimate Thunderbird, tags Medic down to no HP, and that's when Bobo knows he can initiate. Because they land the pinwheel, then Dave dives in. He's got low HP targets all around him, and that is a Tulin's paradise.
And this was the story of these fights. Usually a team would just stay for a little bit too long, and then their opponents could just clean up on the retaliation. For Immortals, though, they were able to find a little bit more of those fights and finally secure the deal. We gotta take a breath.
We could take out a deep breath, taking a look at what you have from this game. It was clear that Dave helped carry the lead, 6-1 and 6. KZ Fox not one to fault either at a 7-3 and 11 stat line. And this was a very, very messy game.
Hoon, look at that damage.
Hoon.
That's ridiculous.
Hoon, 38.9% of his team's damage.
Yeah, that, I'm just, like, that's all I got. Like, it's just this. That's literally all you can do. So now, gentlemen, game 1, Dino Riders. Game 2, Immortals. I can't say this is for all the marbles because this is only the semifinals. This is only the semifinal match. But the winner of this moves on to face Allegiance in the finals. What is going to have to change for both of these teams to secure that berth?
I think, first off, for the love of God, get Hoon off of the Liliana. First, I think that's a key betting phase tip from TJ. That one's free. And then what I'd like to see, especially as a follow-up, is I want to see Dino Riders get closed out early because we've seen them consistently lose the early game and then make adaptations in the late game, be it CLZ really showing up or just Hoon's pure damage.
For me, though, even though that, like, Immortals were able to shut down Dino Riders in the early game in that game, too. They picked up Abyssal Dragon again and again. They found themselves kills. They got the first Dark Slayer. I said it. It looked like they had the perfect setup for the game. But Dino Riders just don't die.
The biggest thing for me for the Dino Riders, and you think about these consistent points, you think about what has placed teams to where they're at. Dino Riders, when you think about North America, while yes, they do come in as a number 3 seed, they're not the most illustrious. They're not the ones that you consider when you think about this specific region. You think about Allegiance, you think about Immortals, you think about these heavy hitters, Flipside Tactics picking up one trick. Dino Riders have been flying under the radar for the entirety of the Valor series and have proved in Game 1 and in Game 2 why they deserve to be on this stage.
These Dino Riders players are an incredible story because they literally came here wearing jerseys. You may have seen them. They're sick Dino Riders jerseys, and they're homemade. One of the players got them, and they're made in a shop in their town, and it's just like a local printing
I just
place.
picture like CLZ with like
a
knitting cap and just like going through. You can take a look at from their stuff from the regular season. 22-12 for the Immortals, 10-13 for the Dino Riders, almost double the KDA, but it doesn't matter because at the end of that day, like you said yourself, Opal, the Dino Riders never stop fighting.
For me, my question is this Immortals falling from grace? Is this them deteriorating, or is this Dino Riders stepping up to the table to be at the same level as Immortals was the entire season during Valor Series?
Now, TJ, looking at a point that you said, getting Hoon off Liliana, that's a question mark that we have to consider when we think about this game number 3, because hero pools could potentially become an issue. We've seen the composition of both of these games. Dino Riders playing a very similar playstyle, having very similar compositions. If Immortals try to draft them off of that composition in game number 3, do you feel they have the versatility to take that game away?
I don't know, because Dino Riders have really... So much of what happened in the first game we credited to them completely destroying Dave's hero pool. Then game number 2, Dave actually gets his primary pick. He gets what he's best on, and maybe that's what made the difference. So I don't know if you should be so much focusing on target banning as much as Immortals. Play your game, make sure you have the characters that you're comfortable on, and maybe ban Liliana.
I just think the Liliana cannot be in the game in game 3. I feel like that might be a deciding factor overall, because even though Dino Riders lost game 2, you saw it. 38% of the team's damage on Hoon. He was able to carry these fights, turn them around in these choke points.
16,000 damage. 16,000 damage. The next closest on the Dino Riders was 11,000. 5,000 difference. That was more than the support player on the Dino Riders themselves. There isn't anything that the Dino Riders aren't capable of at this point in time. Looking forward to the pick ban phase. It's going to get started shortly. We're getting players sorted up in lobby, guys, so I promise you we're not going to keep you waiting much longer. But with the Immortals looking back on the blue side, Dino Riders back on the red, do you see a difference in those 6 bans, TJ?
We actually saw a first pick for Immortals when they had the opportunity. They didn't immediately draft Tulin. They didn't immediately prioritize making sure that Dave was comfortable. I think after that last game, and after arguably Dave saved their game, they're maybe very concerned about his comfort.
Yeah, for me, the question is, do you ban away the Alice once again?
Yes.
Don't let it go on through. For me, I feel like there's an opportunity. Medic, when he's put onto this lumber, he's actually much safer than he usually is, and he doesn't get punished. Maybe you'll leave that pick open, maybe see if he can abuse that Alice if he looks to overcommit.
Well, gentlemen, the time has come. The pick ban phase is about to begin. As I mentioned, Immortals on the blue, Dino Riders on the red, and Immortals already making a Game 3 change, banning away that Omen.
I absolutely agree. CLZ was so tanky and so frustrating to watch being played there. It was insane, and they follow up as well, banning out the Alice. So your question is answered. We're not seeing an Alice or CLZ's Omen, and this is very much Immortals targeting their opponents.
You're making hand signals like you're going crazy on this one, Opal.
The Liliana makes it through Immortals pick and ban. Now for Dino Riders.
They first pick it.
Does Immortals first pick it?
I don't think they do. I don't think they do. I firmly believe in the fact of their confidence in Dave's Tulin and his preference over the Tulin. We're gonna get to see the decision. I know, TJ and I, we've got the little bout. I'll bet you £1 for this one of what they're gonna go with. And I'm sorry, I love you, but it looks like it's gonna be a Tulin locked in for the Immortals.
Okay, Liliana again on the field. Hoon will get it, I assume. And there's no reason for Dino Riders to even prioritize it in the draft because there's already a mage locked in by their opposition. So they can just sit tight and assume that Immortals probably aren't going to run double mage.
I like this Lubu pickup if it goes on through for the side of Dino Riders. We've seen how well that hero can just impact the map and just do so much damage, apply so much pressure. Man, this is going to be a nasty dive combo, though, as Yike's going to lock it in.
Side lane prioritization immediately for the Dino Riders, asking the members of Immortals without the availability of an Alice, come at us.
I really, really like that. This Alice removal means that Dino Riders and Immortals both need to stretch out. I want to see who gets this Lumber as the last remaining priority support pick, and Immortals just want an orb.
Oh,
wow.
Early game becomes the name at the top of the piece of paper for strategy. Ryoma, Ormar locked in alongside a Tulin as well. Early game becomes the name, TJ.
That's what they were called. That's what we were calling them. Immortals look so good in the early game these last two games. If they can just focus it, burn down enough towers in the first phase of the game that they clean it up then and there, I think that game 3's in their bag.
The Lumbar, you were talking about it as well, looks like to be the hover. A Violet is locked in now for the jungle of the Dino Riders. Solid composition. Again, early game protection as well as scaling into the late game.
Yeah, we saw Dino Riders going to take a page out of Immortals playbook from game 2. It was able to do massive work. Immortals going to lock in the Yorn. Final pickup here. TJ, you're giving me funny faces.
I'm looking at the Crest quizzically, but it's certainly...
I like it.
It's certainly powerful, and I guess it actually plays into the early game, because Crest's biggest asset is that Metamorphosis ultimate in team fights. You have that early.
I would say that Crest is in ways a budget Alice, but considering that when he uses his ultimate, he becomes probably 20 Alices tall, I would still say that it's a cheaper, more affordable, it's the Dollar General's version of an Alice in a lot of instances. You know, you get it, you big, it's bulky, it helps, but as you mentioned, that ultimate, once it's available and the tankiness that it provides, could help further pad the early game strength that you see from the Immortals.
And I think that's very important. We said we need to see Immortals win their early game and dominantly. Now is their opportunity to do so. These characters will all perform well there. Dino Riders just need to hold on to, apparently, the late to mid game where they've been succeeding in spades.
And you got to hold on to your nerves. This is game 3 of our semifinal for North America. You win this, you go on to our grand final. And this isn't even the hardest task. You got to go against Allegiance after this. And that is going to be another story altogether.
One step at a time, Opal. Allegiance is the big boss, final boss at the end of the road, but we have to get through today. We want to know what you're feeling about on Twitter as well. Head over onto Twitter, use the hashtag Valor Series because game number 3 of our second semifinal is about to begin. Immortals, Dino Riders, 1-1. Winner faces Allegiance in the finals. TJ, Opal, it's your call.
And it is do or die. Game 3, Immortals. Can they be slain or can Dino Riders bring it back? And somehow this underdog story, this homegrown team, and they want to start off things with a bang. They're going to go in on the invade. Yikes leading the charge. They're able to chunk out KZ Fox. Immortals looking to run off back. They're fighting over just a Might Golem. Tierzo coming in from the side. That's going to be a stun onto 2 members of Immortals. And like that, for Immortals, they just need to finish off. Yikes here as they take down First Blood in their favor.
Nicely done, burning down the Malik, finally working out a kill. Immortals, that was counterplay. They fully expected Dino Riders to push in aggressively, so they specifically waited in that bush for the pressure on the Mind Golem so that they could convert it into a kill, and they almost messed it up. It was only X-Tears' timely arrival that turned that in their favor.
It's messy fights in the jungle to start things off. We'll have to see whether or not that continues as we saw Medic in toward that mid lane. Wants to provide a little bit of pressure. Mortals, though, how do they respond after that invade? It went sour for the Dino Riders, so they got themselves a little bit of an advantage. They know Medic is in this bush. Medic gonna have to dash away, gets to safety. Still a little too early to catch him out.
That Crash staying in the split lane for now up top, waiting for his time to push in, and he's actually buying jungle items, which is cool to see.
Yeah, that Hunter's Bow right away. So interesting. We'll have to see how that one pans out. CLZ just going to get back underneath the tower. They're looking to take away some of the monsters through the jungle. Not going to be successful. Look at this. Abyssal Dragon starting up in 4 seconds. Dino Riders have already shifted their mid lane and support over down into the river. How does Immortals respawn?
Well, right now they just hover. Keep an eye on the Dino Riders' progress. Medic overstays his welcome.
He does not have that ultimate available for the knockup. He's just soaking up damage. KC Fox looks to go aggressive. Going to go ahead, roll back on over the wall. No one falls. Dino Riders still have control of the pit.
And that's good for them as they manage to stave off that Abyssal Dragon attack and whittle away the Dino Riders' HP bars.
Again, though, Dino Riders going to go ahead, start up the Abyssal Dragon. Rest of the team pushing on forward. Bobo has to back off, going toe-to-toe. It's going to be a 50-50. Who's going to go ahead and take the first Abyssal Dragon? Going to go on over to the Dino Riders, but they do lose one member.
That's 2 kills now for one Abyssal. I don't think they're very happy with that trade, but it does keep the gold relatively even. Only a slight lead for Immortals.
Sentinel going to be taken here also by the Dino Riders, so going to get a little bit more gold for themselves, but still sitting behind by about 500, 2-0 at 3 minutes. Bobo going to go ahead, get some damage on down. Tears going to have to wait. Again, this crash can be a bit dangerous when it comes to
Bobo's getting this tower.
Yeah, Bobo just, okay. Only took 1 minion, it was enough.
So that's one of the advantages of the Yorn. He has incredible tower damage because every few of his basic attacks, he has a burst, a flurry of damage. It's very effective against towers. So Immortals, when we said rush the early game, we apparently meant take down a tower before the 3-minute mark.
That or go for the dive up into the top lane. Tears is going to transform, wants to try and turn back this fight. Dino Riders, did they bite off a little bit more than they can chew? Medic gets caught out. The knockup is enough to save the rest of his team, but another kill goes in favor of Immortals.
A 1,000,000-ton Leviathan goes flying through the air, and it's a nice knockup as well from the Earth Splitter, stalling out for long enough that the rest of Dino Riders are able to drift back and survive behind their tower.
The team piling on through there. Yikes might be spooked. Boone has to blink away. Yikes wants to go for the re-engage, just gets the slow field on down. Mortal's not able to pick off anybody.
No, unfortunately, not tagging anyone with the shocks for him, so he's not able to make that conversion, and now Dino Riders are playing cowed and passive inside their jungle. They will have to until they're entirely comfortable. Medic will take the lead now.
Yeah, Medic coming into that bush, did see Neo jump on in, so decides against it. CLZ still up toward that top lane, looking to scale up. Decent a chunk of damage when he can. Yorn has actually been cycling up toward the top half of the map, wanting to try and take down that tower. We talked about Medic. What happens when he gets caught out? Ultimate is there. Are they going to be able to finish him off? He will fall. Neo secures the kill.
Medic needs an ambulance. That's 2 kills in the game, both on him. That's half his team's death. Pay attention.
It seems like he's almost like he's playing Alice. He likes to be aggressive, try and go for those plays. Immortals, though, will easily pick him off and also secure an Abyssal Dragon. That's how much one pick can mean here in Game 3.
And you really do need to be very careful if you're behind or in a close game like this, and you're trying to play roam by pushing blindly into the bush. Neo almost grabbed him once, and I assume Neo said, hey, Medic's playing silly, let's get him this second time, and they did.
Immortal, though, going to be clearing out the jungle. The rest of the team slowly trying to reposition themselves. Looks like Dino Riders, they want to go for a play here up onto Bobo. Medic is back up, can join the fight if needed, and looks to lead the charge. Neo, though, going to come on in, wants to dash on forward. The rest of Immortals are sitting idly waiting to see if Dino Riders are going to take the bait.
Immortals need to play this cautiously, but they're certainly looking to push.
Want to keep up the pressure. Lots of pressure, actually, toward the top side of this map from both teams. No one wants to give up an inch into that river. Immortals get the positioning, want to keep on pressuring, but look at this, up toward the top side. The Lubu might be caught out. CLZ, what are you doing there? He's able to get underneath his tower. Is it going to be enough? A lot of damage comes on through. He will survive.
He's under the tower, but I'm not sure it's enough. Chosen needs to play this very well in terms of clearing the wave, and that's exactly what they do.
Boone coming in on the flank, wants to join in on the fight. Boo Boo gets knocked up. and Dino Riders will finally find themselves their first kill of the game at 6.5 minutes.
That was so good, both from Shozen being there in the lane specifically to clear a wave, and then instantly they have the follow-up. Medic there to tank, and Hoon there to find the damage. The first kills on the board for Dino Riders, and they need to play this so cleverly from here because the pressure is still on in mid.
Medic wants to lead the charge. Instead, though, they're going to turn back and pick up their first tower of the game, bring gold a little bit closer to equalization, now sitting only about 700 gold behind.
Mid lane, IMT again hovering, could get caught out.
Neo, gotta be careful, gets the knock up there. Looks like Dino Riders, though, are deciding not to go for any kind of kill. Neo just running away from the ulti on Boon. Should be safe, but the rest of the team gonna move on forward. We might see our third Abyssal Dragon now be on the table.
1, 2, 3, yeah, we're at 3.
It's already been 3 Abyssal Dragons. It's been a fast one.
Well, it's been both very quick in terms of these Abyssals being picked up and very slow at times. As both these teams are playing very cautiously. You can see this exchange into the bush, I think, exemplifies that. Both teams aware and trying to play aggressive, but neither team feeling confident enough to hard commit. And one game away from elimination for both these sides. I can't entirely blame them.
Nerves, are they there? Are they starting to seep on through? Dino Riders maybe go for a fight. The rest of the team gets split apart. CLZ is able to take down the Yorn. He will trade his life, though. Does Dino Riders continue to press on forward? Hoon is
Medic
still sitting at very nice health. He's got the mana available. Medic lead the charge, but they're not going to secure it. The team breaks away. They don't want to go for a split fight.
They know Metamorphosis is down, though, which means that IMT cannot take the fight. Metamorphosis is so key to crash damage. They just want to pick up this tower maybe on the flank. I don't think Hoon can stop them.
It's down to just an auto attack there, so I don't think Hoon will be able to do anything as the Yorn just walks up. I think that Dave actually, who walks up and is able to secure the tower. Meanwhile, though, Dino Riders, they see the opportunity and take the Abyssal Dragon.
Very narrowly fluffed up, allowing it to kite a little bit too far, but they do pick it up. Immortals are fully aware of their positioning because of how long that Dragon Tag took, and they're looking to cut wave and try to shot.
Tears jumps on in, not going to find anything, but that does allow the push to come on through from the top lane minions, and Bobo should be able to shred apart that tower to pick up Immortals' third one of the game.
A red team tower has been
Sentinel up
destroyed.
for grabs, Immortals will grab it.
Oh, maybe not. I think Shozen got that.
I think he got it. I think he stole that one away. Luckily for Immortals, Sentinel not worth as much as it used to be, but still a nice pickup by Dino Riders.
And it shows the Dino Riders are incredibly good in terms of their map awareness right now, and that's always something that I think the NA teams do very well, and it's fun to see Dino Riders on par with IMT here.
Both teams grouped up around this mid lane, hiding in the brush, not going to be seen by either one. Instead, Dino Riders, they put priority toward the bot lane as they saw KZ Fox was able to push out. Medic lagging behind his team. Tears wants to go for the engage, looking to slow out the team.
Oh, that Earth Splitter.
Knock up. Here comes the shock and off from the rest of the team. Hoon gets some damage onto the side. Dino Riders, they're in a split point. Tears is leading the charge, but the rest of the team is looking to prioritize that bot lane tower. Bobo rotates around, still no members falling.
Hoon just hovering threateningly that entire time, and the split push is coming through. CLZ gets a tower for free.
Yikes, though, he finds himself a spooky bush as the rest of Immortals were hiding there, waiting anxiously.
He's gonna get another.
CLZ is still pushing. Dino Riders, the play is just a delay. They want the push to come on through and break open a high ground tower on top of that.
They only get about half damage, a little bit more onto that high ground, but CLZ finds incredible value the whole time that his team's winning a fight. Now, though, I think Immortals are angry.
Well, you might have messed around with the gods, but Dino Riders, they are dinosaurs. They do not care. CLZ is just going to back off, and meanwhile, the rest of the team going to take down that bot lane tower.
They're all over the map. Dino Riders are so coordinated
This
like
wouldn't
that.
be this series, though, TJ, if it wasn't chaotic. And CLZ will get taken down by Dave's Thunderbirds. The reset coming back on through. KZ Fox also able to find themselves a kill. They also secure themselves the Siege Golem, so 2 kills in favor of Immortals.
Very well done by Immortals there to win that fight. Dino Riders need to play this carefully now because they're down a few players. And yeah, Immortals just want the Slayer. Hoon is nearby, and he has a ton of damage. Shows as well. This is dangerous.
Team Immortals are panicking, it would seem. Hoon is caught out to the side, but the damage
Oh,
comes
he's got
on through, picks up the kill, but Hoon is now in the middle of 4 members, looks to try and escape with the rest of his team. He's able to survive. Medic with a disengage on the knockup, but the arrow finds its target and takes down the Violet.
I was so confused as to how Dino Riders had survived. Bobo manages to trade evenly. Still though, Immortals are forced off that Dark Slayer, and I think that wasn't entirely not planned. I think Immortals kind of just wanted to force action from Dino Riders and see if they would take a major fight there, but they did, and Immortals arguably lost it.
And look at this, they have 4 towers on the map on the side of Dino Riders. They found themselves some kills. They have the extra Abyssal Dragon. This has actually led to a 1,300 gold advantage here in Game 3. And every time we've seen Dino Riders get an advantage after falling behind early, they have not let go.
Dino Riders perhaps on the brink of what would be the biggest upset in the Valor series. David Bobo pressuring CLZ here. He may be in trouble.
CLZ caught out to the side, cannot get over the wall, and Bobo will find his target. Picks up the kill, but in mid lane, Dino Riders, they're playing for the objectives. They take down the mid lane tower.
You gank top lane, we'll press mid, and we'll take the gold lead while we're at it.
Look at that graph, back and forth. Immortals dominated up until that 9-minute point, and then Dino Riders were able to find themselves objectives, find themselves picks that led them back into this lead. Neo wants to group Medic. I've said this before, if you get caught out, buddy, it could cost your team.
Dark
That's
Slayer.
enough pressure for
They don't know
to go for the Dark Slayer. Dino Riders, they see this now finally happening. Shock is going to come on through. Tears looks to zone away the team. Dark Slayer goes in favor of Immortals. They need to clean up the fight. Hoon still very much alive. Look
it
at the
doesn't
damage
matter.
onto Dave. Chosen gets taken out. Bobo is able to help secure the kill. Arrow comes on through. Hoon is still alive. CLZ gonna rejoin the fight, but Immortals are not taking the bait.
Dino Riders very nearly
Red
cleaned
tower
up that
has
fight
been
anyway.
destroyed.
They do manage to fully disengage as well, which means this tower lead isn't going to be chipped away at too much.
Immortals gonna back off. Neo, the 1 member falling, will not have that buff available. Dino Riders grouping up, look toward that top lane. The minions starting to siege on through. Someone from Dino Riders has to go up and answer.
The minion wave is very important at this time because with the Slayer buff, Dino Riders shouldn't be willing to take a fair fight. So all the Dino Riders want to do is keep the minions pushed, make sure that they can't be aggressed on, and wait for the Slayer buff to wear off.
Hoon sitting there finds out Dave, and just the 1 rotation, 2 spells, able to do half his health. Dave cannot be frontlining and face checking.
No, but he can be doing the damage. You can see so many times he's able to lightning strike into those big team fights, and his Thunderclap passive finds so much value.
It's the story of the 2 mages, TJ, 4, 0, and 6 on Dave. Meanwhile, Hoon, we said it before, this entire series, this has been the performance of the tournament. I would be confident enough to say that. Abyssal Dragon going to be started up here for Dino.
This was clever. CLZ pushed the minions, so they thought it was a push in the top lane, and then they go for Abyssal Dragon at the same time. Very, very smart, but look at this Violet in mid lane. He's all alone. The second they see that Abyssal Dragon marker, they'll know that he's isolated.
Medic gonna lag behind Immortals, now prioritized toward the top side of the map. Can they try and take down CLZ? Look at the bot lane though, there's a minion wave pushing on in. There should be a call here from Dino Riders. There it is, the Liliana. The rest of the team is coming on down. CLZ is just playing the distraction. He's wasting Immortals' time because look, a fight is gonna break out toward the bot lane. Dino Riders are looking for the base and maybe a high ground tower. Yikes, jumps on in. High ground tower, gonna be the focus. Dino Riders cracks open the base. Immortals, they have to respond. They have to find the fight, but Neo will fall. Medic will be the answer though on the side of Immortals, but Bobo is isolated. Hoon is still in the middle of the fight. The Violet is still alive. Hoon finally falls back and forth. This game teetering on the razor's edge. Immortals though
They take the
falling.
game.
Are you serious?
That is the
Dino
game.
Riders, Tears has to somehow keep this game alive, but their World Championship hopes are being diminished in shambles. Dino Riders takes game 3.
Immortals upset here and now on this stage, a semi-final.
Oh my lord, and you can see them on stage, excited with their victory. This team, this was more than just taking a game to get into the finals. They had to go against Immortals. This is a rivalry, and they were able to do it on the stage at E3.
They look a little bit shaken there on the stage.
I'm shaking, TJ. That series itself was insane.
What? They don't even know where they are. Did we just win? Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
They still need one series if they want to take home that trophy. But of course, gonna go on over to the Immortals players, shake hands, and honestly, if you're both teams, you gotta be satisfied with this performance because that was one hell of a game.
Satisfied, yes, but for Dino Riders, the largest challenge in North America still awaits. Yes, they've performed an upset here, but are they ready to try and upset this top seed heading into the tournament Allegiance?
Saw their medic clapping his hands. Now they have to regroup because now they only have a short break until like